Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S8 and see how this phone holds up in the later part of 2024. Now, the big thing I'll tell you is I probably would not recommend any single person to go ahead and buy this phone anymore. It genuinely just doesn't make any sense, and I think there are way better devices to go and pick up. But I do think this was a very interesting phone that was very impactful, and we'll take a look at it throughout this whole entire video. Number one, the Samsung Galaxy S8, the first thing you're going to have to go and remember is that with a device like this, right, it still feels like a fairly expensive type of phone, which is actually something I love seeing. So on the front side, you're getting a 5.8-inch Super AMOLED display, and it's a 1440p panel, and technically speaking, right, this is a higher resolution panel than something like a Samsung Galaxy S24. So that is just kind of funny, but it doesn't really mean much anymore. It doesn't get the brightest standard refresh rate. Curved glass panel though, which is really nice. You're getting a little bit of bezel at the top and the bottom, USB Type-C port at the bottom, headphone jack, and a microSD card slot. That's some really good I/O that a lot of phones do not have nowadays, but this phone actually had it, so that was actually a very nice thing going on here. Wireless charging on the backside, single camera setup, and overall a really good type of feeling phone. Like, it still feels like a very good, expensive feeling phone, which is something I love seeing. Now on top of that, some other big things to keep in mind. This type of phone also is basically giving you a really decent camera for today's standards. You know, it was 4K at 30 on the back, 1440p on the front, but again, this phone came out in 2017, so you can cut it some slack here and there. And I still think it's like a pretty interesting, good-looking phone, right? It feels still fairly expensive. I did actually compare this phone against the Galaxy S24 when it first came out. And the thing is, right, is that from a build quality standpoint, this phone feels very expensive. Like, this phone still feels like a very premium phone. It's 7 years old. So that is a pretty big advantage going for a phone like this. The fact that it still feels like a pretty good, expensive feeling phone was something I like. However, when we're comparing it from like a everything else standpoint, this phone really doesn't perform that well. This phone, has aged significantly more compared to like a lot of other devices, and it's not really going to be this like great premium device that we probably would expect in some other cases. Like, this phone hasn't really aged the best when it comes down to that one, from the performance side. But I would probably say from a software side, it ended off with One UI 1, and I'm glad this one ended up getting that version of software. But once again, we're in the situation where it just doesn't make much sense to go ahead and buy a device like this anymore, because it's already done getting software updates. It's done getting software. The battery life is kind of, not that great. The performance really isn't that great anymore either. But it was a good phone when it first came out 7 years ago, right? So I say that all to say, if you were planning on buying a Samsung Galaxy S8, I would highly recommend not doing that anymore. Right? It doesn't make any sense to go and buy this type of phone. You are way better off buying a phone that still is somewhat supported and still has a lot of, software ahead of it. Things like the Samsung Galaxy S24, S23, S22, even the Galaxy S21, I would way more recommend than something like this. So that's kind of how the Samsung Galaxy S8 is holding up in the later part of 2024. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.